Hello, my name is TT Sessoms. I am the writer and producer of Different Shades of Lipstick, which is being sponsored by Pushing Through the Pain. And today we're interviewing with Miss Neisha Himes. She is the CEO and founder of G.R.O.W, which is Girls Recognizing Our Worth. Welcome, Miss Himes. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well, TT. How are you?
I'm doing well. First thing I want to ask you is tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, sure. So I am Neisha Himes, and you're more than welcome to call me Neisha. And I am a mom of two. My son is 21 years old. I have a 15-year-old daughter. I'm a wife. I am the founder of G.R.O.W Foundation, which we'll learn a little bit more about later. I am an avid, cookie lover, love chocolate chip cookies. I I have to throw that in there, like with everything. But I do spoken word poetry. I, by day, work at a law firm part-time, and then I also run my nonprofit organization full-time. And I just love helping people. One big thing about me is I'm a survivor of domestic violence and very active in the community with bringing awareness and just trying to do my part to help others who may be in that same situation find their way to a life free from abuse. So that's just me in a nutshell.
All right, so you are a busy mom. Now you surprised me that you said you had children that old, because I can tell.
Yes,
you are blessed, honey. You're blessed.
I just turned 41 a few weeks ago, so yeah.
Woo, I'm about to turn the big 45 myself, so definitely understand. Look, now tell us a little bit about your organization and how it began. So what's the backstory, so to speak?
Sure. So G.R.O.W is, again, an acronym for Girls Recognizing Our Worth. It was founded in 2016, August to be exact. So we're going on our 6th year. And the backstory behind it is I was in this terribly abusive relationship. It included several forms of abuse, everything from verbal, emotional, psychological to physical abuse, just different forms of abuse happening simultaneously. And I was in this relationship for years. And there was just a lot of things that I know now that I didn't know then. And I realized that there were a lot of red flags that I either chose to ignore or simply didn't know was red flags. I think there's this whole misconception that, if it's not physical bruises and things like that, then it's not abuse. So before he eventually started putting his hands on me, I'm in this incredibly abusive relationship, but I wasn't identifying it as abusive because he hadn't started hitting me yet. And then when he did start putting his hands on me, then for me, it was like, well, I'm fighting back. All couples fight. Everybody goes through this. I had this idea that a victim of domestic violence is somebody cowering in a corner and not fighting back and not defending themselves, but that's not what it is. And that's not what it was. And for years I dealt with that. And there were times when I would reach out for help. So when you're in a situation like that, it's humiliating. You don't know where to turn. You don't know who to go to. And by the time I found the courage to try to reach out for help, and it wasn't to my family who I'm very close with, it wasn't to my close friends, it was to agencies, it was to strangers where I almost felt too ashamed to tell my family. So it was easier to tell somebody who didn't know me. And what happened was, I remember someone laughed.
Wow.
I remember reaching out to an agency and they asked me if I had been beaten that day. And I told them, no, I hadn't, but I was trying to avoid, I'm trying to avoid going home to a situation. And they told me that I wasn't in imminent danger. I wasn't in enough danger and that was the first time and last time that I found the courage to call a shelter and say, hey, I need help, I'm afraid. So when they told me I wasn't in enough danger, I wasn't scared enough, essentially. I just remember how helpless I felt. So when I eventually got out of that relationship, and it may be like a year and a half, 2 years after getting out, the first time I told my story was on a stage, holding the microphone via spoken word poetry. So at this point, I had none of my friends. I used to perform all the time, go to open mics all the time, and I had stopped. I kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. So I got rid of my social media. I was completely isolated. I had stopped writing. I had stopped performing and everything. So for me to come back out after this 1.5 year long hiatus, and then I say, hey, I've been abused, or this was been going on, everybody was kind of like floored. But what was supposed to help heal me, I guess it was a different way, a real raw, transparent way for someone to come out with their truth. And then those who knew me was like, wow, I would have never thought that you would be going through something like that. So then I started getting asked to speak at different places like churches, schools, shelters, domestic violence awareness conferences, and things like that. And I wanted to do more. So the more I started getting asked to speak to do these things, I was like, I want to do more. I want to do more. And then one day a young lady reached out, and she had just escaped an abusive situation. She was living in her car with her daughter. And she was like, I saw a video of you on Instagram performing spoken word, and I just want to know how you did it, like how you did it.
Wow.
So I reached out on social media, like, hey, I need toiletries, I need gas cards, I need food, this, that, and the third. And I had this young lady meet me at a hotel that I used to escape to all the time, which is crazy. And I just remember the look on her face. And when we got to the hotel and the front desk rep, it was the same man that used to be there when I would go there years ago, and he recognized me. And so when she saw that, and she looked at me, and it was like, wow, like you really do understand. So I wanted to do more. I tried to get a job in like criminal justice agencies, things like that, shelters. And I kept getting told I didn't have enough experience because I don't have a degree. So for me, I'm like, I live this, and I'm all for higher education. I'm in school now, but there's no piece of paper on this earth that can tell you how to survive domestic violence. There's no diploma if you haven't gone through it to say that your diploma weighs more than my lived experience. So I think just from that, and then me being from Jersey, and then like a go-getter and rebellious, I said, I'm gonna start my own nonprofit organization. And who's gonna tell me I don't have the right degree for my own business? So the law firm I was working for at the time, they helped with small business setup, nonprofit setup. And I mean, it was on from there. I started it. I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. I've learned so much. And that's pretty much the backstory. Somebody told me that I didn't have the right experience. I didn't have enough experience. And then me wanting to help and people needing help. So that's how G.R.O.W came about.
Wow. And what an incredible backstory. I mean, people laughing at you, people trying to say it didn't happen that day, so it's not crucial. I mean, you're not in no immediate danger. I'm like, and people not taking you seriously. And it takes a lot to ask for help, especially when it's something that you're ashamed of. And then for people to treat you that way when you go help, it makes you not want to go ask for help anymore. So wow.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges that you faced when you were starting this organization?
One, just not knowing what I was doing. I had never owned a business before. So you learn a lot. You learn a lot along the way. I'm still learning. You learn how people will try to take advantage of you, the fact that you don't know, and then just having to find a balance between working a full-time job and then having this organization now where you literally, nonprofit, they mean it when they say nonprofit. So the first few years, a lot of it was just money out my own pocket. So trying to figure out how to balance that while not having my family suffer at the same time, where I'm taking money that would normally go into my household, now covering hotel stays for survivors, and then it's when you've gone through domestic violence and you're working on healing from it, but then you immerse yourself in the world of it. So still working on my own healing journey. And then shortly after I started my nonprofit, I got a job, a 9-to-5 job in that field. So I was working as a domestic violence advocate victim advocate for one of the local prosecution offices. So not every day I would be in court with victims from 9 to 5, and then I would get off work and find the time to have the energy to help my own clients. And it's just like, when you sat in trials where you hear people crying all day and horrible 911 calls and seeing terrible body cam footage from police officers,
Wow.
and then you get off work and then you have to be there for your own clients, it was just very difficult, because then I didn't get to turn it off.
Right.
I didn't get to turn it off. I was surrounded by domestic violence all day, and then still dealing with my own healing in areas that I hadn't addressed necessarily. So with just trying to run a business and then trying to get funding for that business, trying to learn the right way to run this business, finding a good team, because this is my baby. I'm very passionate about it. So it was hard for me to let go of control of certain things too, to find a team that I could trust and lean on and say, hey, I literally cannot add another thing on my plate. Can you take care of this? Can you answer this phone call? Can you answer this email? And then just with domestic violence, it's just, you gotta have a tough skin, just how society treats those like victim survivors and how they look at it. And you won't have everybody understanding the barriers that victim survivors face. So it's kind of like, oh, well, they're the ones that went back. Like, why are you putting so much of your heart into this? They're just going to go back, So
Wow.
just trying to navigate through that as well. Those are just a few of the barriers.
Wow. Now, by what you just said and everything that you deal with on the plate and trying to find that balance, what would you say would be your biggest drive just to keep you fueled and going at the end of the day? Is it the clients that you deal with? Is it your family? What is your biggest drive having to deal with so much of domestic violence?
I always say it's from pain to purpose. Like, I know that I used to ask God, why me? Why me? Why me? Why am I going through this? There was a time when I was in that relationship, when I was in a very dark place. And I have children, and I don't have children with my ex-abuser. So the relationship with my kid's dad was already over. So this is somebody that I didn't even have children with, and it was still hard to get out of that relationship. So for me to ask God, why me? Why me? And there was a time when I was going through severe depression, suicidal, all of that, to the point where I wrote letters to my mother, my sisters, and just like, look, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is where my son's going to go. This is where my daughter, like, these are the plans for them. I wrote letters to my kids, like, mommy, sorry, kind of thing. And I would be mad at God when he would wake me up. Like, I would just want to go peacefully in my sleep, and would be mad when I would wake up and say, God, I asked you to, because I was too afraid to do it in a way that would cause pain, but also I was too afraid to try to do it and then fail. And then I was like, wow, I won't even be able to get that right. So for me, just looking at where I was then and knowing just like, I found people that didn't give up on me. And then coming across the survivors that we meet and seeing where some of them are, like now, like thriving and living, and then knowing that there's some that are going to go back. But if I can plant a seed and maybe they'll remember something I said or my team said 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, then I know that we've done our job. So for me, it's just like a pain to purpose thing. I know why I went through all of that. Not that I deserved it, but I know why. And I know that there was a purpose to it, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't even be sitting here talking to you right now.
Right.
So it is a purpose thing. I couldn't get out of it right now if I tried to, because it's what I'm supposed to do.
Now, what type of resources and services does your organization provide?
So we have a few programs, and one of them is crisis intervention. So if a survivor, they reach out for assistance. So we like to consider ourselves like the middle person. We don't have a shelter, God willing, one day. And I used to say, oh, I want a shelter, but now that's kind of changed on what I see for us in the future. but we're like the middle person. And again, like being in that situation, you don't know who to call. And then when you're calling a bunch of different phone numbers, you might call 10 numbers and 8 people say, I can't help you. It's very frustrating because then you're like, well, now I have 2 options and I don't know what to do from there. So whereas like the liaison between the survivor and then the agencies in the community that can provide that longer term care. So by crisis intervention, a survivor may call and say, I have nowhere to go. The shelters are full. I tried. They said that they don't have room for me until next week. Today is Friday and I have nowhere to go with my kids. So we're able to provide emergency hotel stay for up to 72 hours. And then we're going behind that survivor and advocating for them with the other agencies in the community. So we've built relationships with a lot of the agencies here in the Hampton Roads area. So I can call XYZ shelter and say, hey, it's Neisha with G.R.O.W. Such and such survivor contacted us, said she spoke with your agency. You guys can't get her in until Tuesday. Well, today's Friday. We can put her in a hotel until Monday. Are you guys good to pick her up from there? And then usually that works out great. Is kind of provided being that intermediary. Sometimes we'll have survivors like, I don't have food, I don't have clothes, I don't have a car, and I need to get to the police department to file a police report, or I need to get to the magistrate's office to get a protective order. So we'll provide that Uber or Lyft or whatever they need to get to where they need to go. If they need that food and clothes for a little bit, we're getting that for them until we can advocate for them with food pantries or send them over some resources so that they can take it from there as far as going to get their immediate needs. We do a lot of community outreach. I like to bring awareness in ways that will stick with people. So I don't want to just have community come and get a bunch of pamphlets and pins, and then it's like, oh, well, that was cool. And then they forget everything that they learned. So we've had everything from a spoken word play where the spoken word artists, literally, they each played a different part in a domestic violence situation. So we had an offender, we had someone play a victim, we had someone play society, someone play a bystander, someone play a survivor, and it just told a whole story while having guest speakers of different resources throughout the community come and share information on domestic violence. Every summer we do what's called the Summer Days Ice Cream Giveaway, where we book an ice cream truck or a snow cone truck, and we visit all of the DV shelters in the area, and we treat all of the kids, parents, and staff to free ice cream. So these kids are out there like feeling like they're balling. They're like, I can get whatever I want. And it's like, I remember telling this one kid, like, yeah, you could get what you want. And his mom went and she brought out like a Walmart bag. I don't even know where the bag came from. And she just was like, I'll take this, I'll take this, I'll take this. But it was so great to see, So these are things that they'll remember. Because my thought is, how many of us remember running to the ice cream man when we was young? These kids are living in a shelter. They should be able to have a memory like that too. So, I mean, that's just a few of our outreach. We have an annual event at the boxing gym that I attend and teach people how to box, but also have guest speakers, survivor speakers, resources and things like that. And yeah, so that's just some of our outreach efforts. We now have a support group, which meets once a month, and it's open to survivors of all. Don't just have to be women, men, transgender, LGBT, doesn't matter your background. If you're a survivor of domestic violence, age 18 plus, you are welcome to attend our support group. And it's held at the boxing gym that I attend. So it's like the first hour is the counseling. And then the second hour, we all work out, and my boxing coach teaches them. It's like you get boxing training. So that's a different way. Again, it's a different kind of support group because it's like, okay, I came here, I talked for an hour, but now we in the ring boxing. So it's just fun. It's empowering. Yeah. And there's a lot of community engagement, community outreach, workshop facilitations, DV education. I'll go to any school, jails, churches, wherever, and we'll educate on domestic violence.
Wow. I love all the outreach things that you do. I definitely had to connect with you so I can get involved in some of that. And I'm more than happy to help with some of that.
Please do.
My next question to you is, how can others connect with your organization?
So we have a website, we have social media. I'll say our website is www.G.R.O.W Foundation, VA is in Virginia.org. So G.R.O.W Foundation, VA.org. That has all of our social media contact information on there. So we have our Instagram platform, we have Facebook, we have Twitter. Thank God I have help with social media because that's like another job in itself. So we're very active on there. We share a lot of our events. We share awareness. We share stories. So whether you're someone in the community that just wants to donate or volunteer, please do reach out or just want to learn more about domestic violence and how you can help. I mean, just please do follow us and reach out because we're always promoting and looking for, ambassadors as far as just for the cause and everything. And the survivors are more than welcome to reach out to, whether it's for our support group. We have something called Survivor Sunday, where every first Sunday of the month, we share a survivor story. So survivors are welcome to submit their stories to us. So yeah, all of our contact information is on our website.
All right. Is there a way that people can make a supply donation? And if so, what are the most needed donations that you would be looking for?
So yes, on our website, there is you'll see a button where it says help grow, and then it'll say like donate, sponsor, things like that. A lot of the most needed items are like gift cards, whether it's gift cards to Walmart, Food Lion, Target, gift cards for gas, Wawa gift cards kind of thing, Uber, Lyft. Those things are helpful. And then the things that we don't think about, socks, toiletries, so undergarments, new undergarments, bras, underwear, stuff for men as well, undergarments for men, socks, boxers, t-shirts, things like that. But also the other things we don't think about, razors, you don't think about, just hygiene products, feminine hygiene products, things like that. Those are often the most needed, but also we run into survivors who are recently getting their own place and literally have nothing. So household cleaning products, paper plates, or household appliances, things you might be doing a spring cleaning and say, I don't need this set of dishes anymore. We take all that stuff, and being that it's a 501c3 nonprofit, we can write your receipt if you would like to write it off on your taxes at the end of the year. So yeah, I would just say undergarments, gift cards, just your daily basic necessities. Think about what you use every day. Toothbrush, toothpaste. We need stuff like that. We always use stuff like that. Gift cards are always a given.
What about old cell phones or prepaid phones or something to that nature?
Prepaid phones would be great. We did just get a donation of a bunch of older cell phones, which we're trying to go through and just see which ones are still good to use and which ones aren't. But like minutes, cards with prepaid minutes. Sometimes you even have survivors who they leave, they have nowhere to go, they have nowhere for their mail to go. So we've had people say, how can I sponsor like a PO box for a survivor, something along those lines? Mm-hmm. For us, our storage unit, we're trying to find, we have a storage unit, it can be pretty pricey, and we need a bigger one at this time. So it's like, hey, someone may say, hey, I would like to sponsor a storage unit for you guys. That would be such a huge help. But even things like our support group is at a boxing gym. If you want to sponsor Gatorade and water, granola bars, things like that, also appreciated as well.
Well, those are great. If a person wanted to contribute like monetary donations to your organization, is there a way that they can get involved through your website, or how would they get money to you if they wanted to support you?
On our website, and that same help grow, donate, there's an option to where you can make a donation monetarily. It's online and secured. I've had some people who prefer not to use online methods to make donations. So our address is on the website as well. If you rather, we've had people mail in checks or money orders and things like that. We do take, I've been asked if we take cash donations. We do. It's just for paper trailing purposes. It's easier if it's electronic or a check or money order or something along those lines for our bookkeeping records.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. Where would a victim start for help?
So just in general, if a victim survivor, if they're looking for help, the first thing is to talk to someone that you trust. You know, you have to be willing to, and of course it's on your own time, and you share as much or as little as you're comfortable with sharing, but you have to be willing to talk to someone. So whether that's a friend, a family member, whether that's an advocate, then just so you know that you're not dealing with this by yourself. So once you talk to someone, if you're looking to talk to an advocate, you can look up your local domestic violence agency. Just put domestic violence agency and put in your zip code, and several will pop up. And then they oftentimes include the crisis number, the 24-hour crisis hotline number for that respective agency. If you're looking for G.R.O.W Foundation, again, our contact information is on our website, but we're not an agency in that we have a 24-hour crisis hotline. So if you're in danger, one, call 911. But if you're looking for that crisis support at 1 a.m., you need to talk to an advocate, then I would definitely look up your local domestic violence agency. You can also contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. And then you can also, if you want help from G.R.O.W, you can go to our website. There's a tab that says Get Help, and then there's an intake application right online. You can fill it out via your laptop, your phone. You fill out that intake application. It gets sent over to our team, and then one of our advocates give you a call to continue that intake process.
All right. The next question that I wanted to ask you was, I know you have your social media and your website information. Was there anything else that you wanted to put out there as regard is how people can most help you in your organization that you haven't already talked about?
I mean, we're always looking, donations will always help. But another way to help, if you're looking to volunteer, sometimes people ask how they can help in that way. Volunteering, there's also on our website an application where it says Help G.R.O.W, and you can fill out a volunteer application and ask you what you're interested in doing, whether you have a niche for marketing, if you like outreach as far as events and things like that, if you're willing to pick up donations and drop off donations, all of those things help. But spreading the word about G.R.O.W and our mission to end domestic violence, what we're trying to do in the community as far as supporting survivors to help them get back on their feet, that helps us out as well. So even if you can't donate monetarily or donate tangible items, sharing our website, sharing our social media and saying, hey, have you checked out this organization? You know, you should look into them. Asking us to come speak at your school, at your church, at your domestic violence awareness class or something along those lines. All of those things help us as well.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Himes. It was such a great pleasure to sit and interview with you today. We're glad to try to partner with you to get some donations to your organization as well. Thank you, audience, for listening in today. I just appreciate all of the support that the audience can provide to the G.R.O.W Foundation.
Thank you.
And so make sure you go on the website, make sure you share the information. And thank you again for watching. And thank you so much, Ms. Himes. You have a wonderful day. And again, I appreciate you coming in to join us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.